Hi, I'm Sandra from Your Best Yoga, a program that only requires you to do your best, whatever that looks like. Today, this is my first yoga video I'm ever doing, so bear with me if there are a few things that need a little bit of work. We're doing a restorative flow today that focuses on the lower body, so mostly your hamstrings and hips, two areas that are really tight for most people. I'm going to be using a yoga strap today. And if you don't have one of these at home, it's no big deal. If you have a house coat, the belt of a house coat works really well. Also, a light towel, a tea towel, dish towel, those kinds of things. If not, just use your hands to support the leg. You'll see it's really not that important to have the strap. I'm also going to be using a blanket. That's just for comfort, so I'll have it under my head at times, under my knee for extra padding. Again, it's not necessary. If you have a towel or a light blanket, something like that would work great if you would like. This practice is supposed to make you feel good, so if something doesn't work for you, you feel uncomfortable, just don't do it. You can always email me or write a comment below asking me for a modification or for some tips if a pose feels uncomfortable. I think that's all I need to say. Let's get started. We're going to begin lying down. You want to have your belt nearby. You can have the knees bent or straight, so whatever feels better for you. Hands can rest on the floor beside you or maybe on the belly so that you can help watch your breath. We're going to take a few moments to settle in to the floor, to this space, to this moment. Starting to move inward, focusing on the body and any sensations. Sometimes as we move through the day, we don't really notice what's going on with the body. So we'll take this time to just check in, looking for areas of tightness that we can relax into. As you continue to focus on the body, feel the breath. If the hands are on the belly, you might use that touch to feel the belly rise up with your inhales and fall with your exhales. As you continue to notice the breath, you might find that it starts to deepen or lengthen without you having to do too much. Taking your inhales and exhales through the nose if possible. Slow and steady breath. If your legs are straight, bend your knees. And we're all going to wiggle our feet out a little wider apart so they come toward the edges of our mats. From here, we're going to rock the knees side to side, nice and slow. This one's called windshield wiper legs. So think of the legs as windshield wipers moving together. You might move with the breath. And just noticing how the hips are responding to this movement. The legs, maybe the lower back. And then bring those knees back up to center. You can wiggle those feet in nice and close together again. With your next exhale, we're going to hug the right knee in toward the belly. So you can do this with the hands over the shin, or if it's easier for you to reach, you can use the belt over the shin or behind the thigh. As we hold on to that knee, let's circle out our right ankle. You might hear some snap, crackle, and pop there in that ankle joint. You can wiggle your toes. And let's take that circle into the knee and hip area. So you're moving your entire leg as the knee circles around one direction 3 times. And then the other direction 3 times. Just notice that movement in the hip. Knee coming back to center. Looping the belt. Looping the belt once you find it around the sole of the foot and stretching that foot up or out. We want to try and get the right knee straight. So if that means your leg is a little bit lower than mine, that's totally fine. I want you to think of reaching up through the heel of your right foot so the toes are coming towards you a little bit. If you have something long enough, take the hands or the arms all the way down to the floor. If not, if your hands are lifted, no big deal. Just try to let the arms and shoulders stay relaxed. Breathe here into that stretch through the back of the leg. Keeping the right leg where it is, let's see if we can stretch our left leg all the way out on the floor as well. Reaching out through that left heel just as we're reaching up through our right heel. Notice how that changes the stretch in the right leg. Keep breathing. Make sure to relax your face and jaw. And then bend your left knee. Bring your foot onto the floor. Release your right foot from the belt. Let that foot come down as well. And just pause. Take a breath. Feel into the right leg and the left leg. Taking the left knee, hugging it in toward the belly. You really want to soften through that hip to allow the knee to come in. While you hold on to that knee, we'll circle around the ankle. From here, bringing those circles into the leg, the hip, the knee. One direction 3 times, and then the other. Looping your belt around the sole of your foot. Stretching it up or out. Notice one side might be a lot different than the other side. Maybe you can get one leg straighter or one leg higher up than the other. That's okay. Breathe. Keep reaching up through your left heel and stretch that right leg out. Reaching out through the right heel as well. One more deep breath here. And then bend your right knee, foot onto the floor. Release your left foot from the belt. Let's just put that belt off to the side. And pause. From here you can roll to your side. Use the press into your hands to sit all the way up, and we're coming up to hands and knees. So this is where you might want that blanket or towel under your knees. I'm going to put my hair up so it's not falling into my face. So as you come into your hands and knees, you want to line the knees up under the hips and bring those hands so the wrists line up under the shoulders. Starting with a nice flat back here. We're going to move through some cat and cow. So this isn't for the lower body so much, but we're just going to take a moment to let that spine get nice and warmed up. So starting with your flat back, deep inhale. As you exhale, round through the spine. So the tailbone is lengthening down, your gaze is shifting toward the thighs. Inhale to arch through the spine, reaching the hips up, looking up, lifting the chest up. Breathing out, rounding the back. Into arch. Breathing out. And in. Let's take the spine back to its neutral position. We're going to come into some hip circles, so you might want to, pardon me, walk your hands slightly ahead of the shoulders. And we're going to take the hips forward, around and back, almost like you're going to pause in a child's pose, but we're going to keep going. So go all the way around. Let's do 3 times in one direction. And 3 times in the other direction. Get those hips moving all the way around. And then back to tabletop. Let's take the knees wider apart. Slide your toes to touch together. Sit all the way back. Soften through those hips. Folding forward. Bring the forehead all the way down to the mat, or if it doesn't touch, you can always stack your palms or your fists and rest there. Taking some deep breaths. Feel the back body respond by expanding and contracting. Feel those hips soften as the bum moves toward the heels. Slowly making your way all the way back up. We're going to untuck the legs to come to a sitting position. You might want to sit up onto your blanket, even folding it maybe one more time to get a little lift through the hips, especially if you feel any tension through the low back. Sitting up onto a height will really help with that. So once we're here, you might want your belt again nearby. We're going to bend our right knee. Bring the sole of the right foot to the inner thigh, letting this knee release down, softening through this hip. We're going to loop our belt around the sole of the foot here. Now, if you feel like you have the flexibility that you don't need to use the belt, you can just drop it, but it's always easier to have it just in case. The toes of our left foot are reaching up toward the ceiling, so we're targeting through the back of that leg again. Starting nice and tall, so shoulders are rolling back. As you exhale, we're going to start to fold from the hips. So just keep your spine nice and long, shoulders back, chest up as you come forward. We're not trying to get our nose toward our knee or anything like that. Just a nice stretch through the back of the leg. I always say, as long as you can feel the stretch, you're doing it right. Don't worry about how far you go forward. Keep breathing. As you inhale, you can leave the belt there, sitting up tall. Now I'm going to give you an option for this next twist. Option 1 is bringing the right foot onto the floor beside the left leg, so on the inner side of that left leg. Option 2 is crossing the right foot over the left leg. So in my body, that gives me more of a stretch through the outer hip, so that's the choice I'm going to make. But if it's not comfortable for you, you can do the same twist we're going to do with your foot on the inside of the leg. Sitting tall, very important as we move into a twist. Let's keep our left leg activated, left toes up toward the ceiling. Inhale. Exhale, we're twisting toward the right. So you're hugging the left arm around the right leg. Right hand is coming behind you as you twist. Head can just follow the collarbones. You don't have to look behind you if that's not comfortable. Breathing. I just realized I threw my hair up. I don't know what it looks like. Inhale, come back to center. Obviously my first video. Let's bend our left knee, repeating that forward fold and twist on the other side. Again, using that belt around the sole of the right foot. Sitting tall to begin. Exhaling to fold. I also didn't paint my toenails for this first video. Keep breathing. Relax your shoulders and face. Little secret of yoga teachers as they're teaching and they're giving you adjustment cues, often that's based on what their own body is doing. My shoulders sometimes like to creep up, or I notice I'm tensing the muscles in my face. As you inhale, come to sit all the way up. Once again, bringing your left foot either to the inside or crossing it over to the outside of that right leg. I recommend doing whatever version you did on the first side, on the second side as well. Sitting nice and tall, inhale, exhaling to wrap the arm and twist. Inhale, back to center. Uncross the legs. You might give them a moment to sort of shake out. Belt off to the side. We're lying all the way back down. I said this was restorative. We're doing a lot of relaxing. So again, maybe a pillow or a folded blanket as a pillow under your head. Laying down with the knees bent and the feet on the floor here. Pausing for a moment, checking in once again. What is happening in your body? All right, time for thread the needle. We're going to lift up our right foot, cross it over. So the outer right ankle comes to the top of the left thigh. You want to make sure your foot is not compromised. So you should be able to spin your ankle around without letting the foot run into the leg here. You want to open this right knee away from the body, so you don't want it falling in. Try to open it away as much as you can. If you're already feeling a big stretch here, this is a great place to stay. Otherwise, pull those legs in towards you, taking your right hand in between the legs, left hand coming around. If the hands don't reach, you can use the belt for this one. I know a lot of students enjoy using the belt instead of the hands. No matter what you're doing, I want you to relax your shoulders into the floor. Soften through the hips. Feel that big stretch. You should feel it through the outer hip, into the glute a little bit perhaps. Keep breathing. As you exhale, release, uncrossing that right leg. Pause. Make sure the hips are nice and balanced, the low back resting into the floor. And then lifting the left leg, crossing it up and over. Again, that foot, the ankle is free, opening this knee away. You can see on this side, my hip is tighter, so my knee knee has a harder time opening. That hip has a harder time opening. Pulling the legs in if you'd like. Hands or belt behind the right thigh. Couple more breaths here. And then release. Let those feet come back down onto the floor. From here, we're moving into a reclining butterfly, Supta Baddha Konasana. We're going to join the soles of the feet, bringing the heels in as close to the body as is comfortable, letting the knees release down toward the floor. Since we're not using other yoga props, sometimes if you have blocks, you might put them under your thighs here, but if you're feeling like your hips aren't able to relax, you can always make fists with your hands and just tuck them right under the upper thigh, the outer upper thigh, right under the hips there. And that'll give you a little bit of support as well. Otherwise, hands might rest on the belly here. We're going to stay here for 5 or 6 deep breaths. Your next inhale, let's bring those knees in together. We're going to hug the knees in toward the belly, in toward the chest. You might find a little rock and roll there if that feels good. Now, if you've ever been to a class with me in person, you might have noticed I pretty much always end my classes with a reclined twist. So I'm not going to break my tradition in my videos. We're going to still end our time with a reclined twist. So with the knees hugged in, you're going to let the arms open out onto the floor like the letter T. Palms turned up if possible. That's going to let the shoulders open nicely. And as you exhale, you're going to let your knees drop over toward the left. You want the knees, the feet, the ankles, everything to rest into this twist. So if that means you have to take the knees farther away from the belly, that might help. You want the shoulders to relax into the floor nice and heavy, and you might take the left hand just onto the top of the thighs for some extra support here in your twist. Just breathe here. Some people like to turn their head the opposite direction of the knees. I like to use the twist at the end to sort of bring out any leftover tension in the body. One more breath here. Inhale to bring the knees up to center. Exhale to the other side. Taking one more breath here. And then bring your knees back to the middle. If it feels good, you can give them a hug in one more time. And then you're going to let your legs stretch out on the floor. We're moving into our final relaxation, final Shavasana. So if it doesn't feel good to have the legs straight, have the knees bent, have the legs in whatever position allows you to feel rested. Arms can rest beside you. Turn the palms up to the ceiling once again to roll those shoulders open. Close your eyes. So, since you're doing this class from home, you can stay in your Shavasana as long as you'd like or until someone might need you for something. Once you're ready to come out, simply bend the knees, roll to your side, and bring yourself all the way back up to a sitting position. I hope you had a wonderful class. You feel stretched out, your hips, your hamstrings feel happy. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment or send me an email. I hope this is my first of many videos, so if you have a suggestion for the type of class you'd like to see, please let me know. Thank you for practicing with me. Namaste.